Hello, everyone. We're going to be talking about Browning, Chapter 3. Okay, wonderful. Okay, learning the lingo to trump the competition. Uh, I'm not sure why they use that word, but obviously that word's become very famous, I guess, these days. So, why grant language matters? Funding agencies use specialized terminology. Misunderstanding language leads to rejection, and fluency allows faster, stronger responses. Important thing to recognize about language and grants is when you read the RFQ, the request for proposals, you got to read those very carefully and understand what language they use in those. And that's the exact type of language that you want to recycle back into your grant as much as possible. Okay, don't think that you're going to use your own terminology for special funding requests when they already have provided the terminology for you by the way they speak and they write that request for proposal. And so that's very important to know. The same thing as I said earlier with DEI, you'll know very clearly if you can use diversity, equity, and inclusion language in your grant. If you don't see those words anywhere in the request for proposals, I would stay away from that terminology. But if you see it in that request for proposal, then I would say it's okay to use it. Nowadays, most days that come out, they don't really have that language, but it's something to look at. Okay. Okay, and grant writers must act quickly. Opportunities are time sensitive. Guidelines are released with short notices. Prepared writers respond immediately. The thing about the time sensitive is sometimes they give you 10 days. A lot of times that's actually by design. Okay, they want to make sure that, instead of getting 500 applications, that they only get 20 applications, right? And so it's very similar. And I would sort of, that happens even, in academia for job searches. Right now we have a dean search, and essentially you come back from the holidays, there's 2 weeks, and so they really probably don't want a lot of people to apply for our dean position, and so that's probably why the short timeline. But that's sort of a similar thing, right? The longer the timeline, the more people are going to have time to respond. The shorter the timeline, the less time to respond. Okay. All right. So grant related terminology, we're going to review grant, competitive grant, and formula grant. So competitive grants require strong proposals, right? You're going to have more people applying. Formula grants are allocation based, and failure to submit the forms can forfeit the funds. Okay, you got to submit every form that they ask for, put it in the order, label it in the way that they want. Sometimes they're very, very specific in how they want things, and every grant is different, and you have to follow that terminology and those directions to a T. So this is a CFDA number. I'll get back to you on what that is, or we can Google what that is. But that is a grant number that goes with 501c3s. Purpose, due date, allocation, which is the amount, and the priority group, which goes back to your mission, vision, and your statement of the problem. Okay, cover pages, partner sign-off forms. If you have partners, and original signatures are always generally required. More and more now, what we're getting is digital signatures are okay, but generally they want wet signatures in the past. Finally, we're going to more digital signatures, but I'm seeing right now the transition happening. Okay. Some components of the narrative are the abstract, the budget, the summary and details of the attachments. That's all going to be in the grant writing, the proposal template that I put for in module 2. Okay, technical reviews check for compliance, peer reviews evaluate quality, and non-compliance stops reviews immediately. Let me show you a little bit of this here. Let me see if you can see that. Okay, where did it go? Did it go anywhere? There it is. It went to my other screen. It wasn't. What screen did it go to? I'm sorry. It went somewhere. I'm sorry. I have so many screens. That screen. That screen. I actually have 5 screens. Okay, here it is. Okay, raw. Let me move it to over here. Okay. All right. Let me kind of share that document. Okay, that one is going to be called. There it is. Okay. All right. So this is for a Cal EPA. That's the. I think it's the California agency. This here is going to be the review criteria right here. Okay, it's got 100 points. Objectives and vision is 40. Project design and feasibility 40, and capacity is 20. That's how they're going to allocate it. It's the $300,000 grant, and in here you'll go into the details of objectives and vision, exactly what they want, design and feasibility, what they want, capacity, what they want, and a very, very clear, specified manner that you should follow if you want to get those 100 points. Because I've been on review proposal and review committees where we have 500 proposals. The difference between getting a grant and not getting a grant is only 1 point. You know, somebody gets an 85 and that's the cutoff point. 84, you didn't get the grant. And so, and as you know, there's a little bit of subjectivity along with that too. Sometimes, you know, you have sometimes multiple reviewers, but one reviewer marks you down and it can bring down your point total. Okay, let me close that out. All right, close that out. Okay, go back to here. Okay. Here's about the scoring, right? Are scored numerically. The criteria reflect their priorities, and high scores are required for funding. But again, you don't know. This year it's 85, next year it's 87. So it's a moving target depending on how many people apply and the quality of their proposals. Okay. This is some of the review criteria that is very typical. Demonstrating your need. You have evidence. You have a work plan, management capability, sustainability, and evaluation plan, and the budget details. Let me show you an example of a work plan. A work plan is a very, very common document. Very common document. You see that quite a bit in almost all of the grants. It didn't go again. Let's try it again. There it goes. It keeps moving to this other screen. I'm on it on this screen. Okay. All right. Let me see the work plan. Okay. So there's your work plan right there. This is for a grant. I can't remember how much the amount was, but okay, you got this work plan for this program. They got the priority area, Latinx and LGBT youth, the problem statement, contributing factors, war on drugs, program goals, and policy goal. Okay, so this is how our work plan looks. You have the objective. I mean, they all look a little different, but I'm just showing you this one. Right. At the initiation of the program, there's going to be outreach and recruitment of 220 youth in our community and area schools. This recruitment will be central to the youth that will ultimately participate in our program with a goal of up to 180 in 3 years. They want to know the activities that will support the objectives: recruit, construct recruitment flyers, do 10 recruitment presentations, utilize 10 youth mindfulness leaders, and conduct outreach and recruitment, hold yearly outreach and recruitment training. These are the people, the responsible people in their positions, right? And this is the start date and the end date. This, you know, when they're actually going to do it. So if you go through, and then how are you going to evaluate it? Okay. There will also be interviews with all the program staff to assess their views on the success of the outreach, recruitment, and training aspects of the program, and suggestions for program improvement. And you go on, and all of them are like this. Here's programmatic objective number 2, right? We have policy systems and environmental objective number 1, right? And those are it. Basically, we have, 3, major objectives, okay, for that one. Sometimes you can have more, sometimes you can have less. Okay, let me go back to that screen. Okay, and let me show you also what a budget, how one budget plan looks, okay? All right. It doesn't ever move to the screen that I want it to. It moves to another screen. That's okay. It's a 2-step process, moving things from one screen to another. Okay. There it is. Okay. This is a very typical budget, right? This is a 2-year grant, so they want the budget for 2 years. So here you have staff salaries, almost always goes first. What's their salary? And FTE is full-time equivalent. The director, we're only going to utilize 5% of his time, right? And that's going to cost $9,000 for 5% of his time for 1 year. We want the grant to pay almost $5,000, and we're going to pay the other $5,000, okay? And so forth and so on, right? Who they are, how much of their time we're utilizing, how much does that time cost, how much do we want, and how much are we going to contribute ourselves? Okay, then you got salary and benefits, right? Salary and benefits is going to run you at what percentage? Oh no, I'm sorry, that's total of salary and benefits. Other personnel costs, this is pass-through money where we're getting these organizations, we're paying them some money to help out, $10,000 each. Right, supplies, material, other expenses. Then you have mileage. Then you have indirect. This is a very common. Almost every grant has indirect money. That's the money that you require to turn on the lights, pay the rent. Even though they want rent and utilities separated over here, this is money that you can use at your own discretion, but it's like administrative money. And this one they allow you to do 20%, and so we did. So total, this grant costs $312,000 for the year, and we're only asking for $150,000. Okay, then you do the same for year 2, and then you do the total for both. Right, the budget. Here's the total budget. Here's what we want. So as you see, we're only asking for under $300,000, which is a $300,000 grant, but the program is going to cost $625,000. We're going to be contributing more than 50% of that money. Okay, so this is very typical to have a template like this. I'll show you some other ones, but this one you get it is very typical. Okay, all right. Let me go back to that window. Okay, and I'll show you a sample of an evaluation plan a little bit later. Okay. This is an allowable cost, is entertainment and tuition. Is very common that those aren't allowed. Capital or non-expendable equipment. Sometimes they allow a little bit of money for like computers or that type of thing, but it's rare. They don't really like to fund those type of things. And then costs outside of the purpose of the grant. So technical terminology like review process, technical review, peer review, unallowable cost. You got to know what that terminology is. The unallowable cost is the big one, right? There's always a section for unallowable cost. Those are the things that they will not allow you to spend money on. You have to know what those things are, because if you put one of those in your budget, you're not gonna, your grant is not going to get funded. Okay. All right. So lessons learned is grant language is learnable, mastery increases confidence, and preparation prevents rejection. So the action steps are obtaining and study guidelines immediately, read guidelines, highlight any technical requirements, and organize pages for quick reference. And I do that a lot. When I get those RFPs, I will highlight things and make notes. I usually get them in PDF, and I like to put them in a Google Doc folder, but I also like to make a Google Doc document of that PDF, transfer it so that I could make notes and highlights and all of that for myself and my team. Okay. Which grant term is unfamiliar to you? Where have technical issues caused problems, and how will you build grant language fluency? Okay, what's next is understanding formats, preparing compliant proposals, and writing with reviewer expectations in mind. Let me show you one more document here. Oh, this is another. Let's see if it's going to go to that window. Again, it's probably not going to go. That's interesting. It does not go, but I will move it there. Let me move this other document since I'm going to show you that one as well too. But let me do this one first. There it is. Okay. This is also like very typical for this one. They wanted the budget separated into personnel, operating, and equipment. And a lot of times they provide the templates. So this is their template, and sometimes you have to provide your own, but a lot of times they provide them. The formula is already built in. So this is salary, right? You always have to have the FTE with the salary, and then you times 15% for fringe benefits, insurance, vacation, all of that stuff, times 19 months, and this is the number that it gets you, right? Personnel, total, operating, right? Having partners, travel, office supplies, and then equipment is 0 for equipment, but the total for personnel 445, operating 554, ends up being a total of $1 million. Okay, so $1 million sounds like a lot of money, but it really isn't. That could get spent really quick. Okay, this is very typical narrative. This was for a $5 million grant. The project need, right? Yeah, the project target area in the population, supporting data and information, community needs and service gaps, project description, and they tell you the character limit as well, right? Project strategy and intervention, project efficacy, participant engagement, project work plan, the work plan that I showed you, that's what they want right there. They have refer to Appendix C, they have a template for you, probably for you to look at that. And then the organizational capacity and coordination with fiscal and administrative capacity and accounting, cultural relevance and credibility, training and expertise, coordination and partnership, and then also project data collection and evaluation. This is my forte. This is what I do. My training is in evaluation, program and evaluation. And so I generally write the evaluation portions of many of the grants of the partners that I consult with. They want the data collection and evaluation, data and evaluation management, tracking and monitoring, and then they want your budget. And that's pretty much it. Ta-da, simple, right? Simple to write, right? Okay. All right, thank you very much. Okay, let me see. Now, demonstrating.